Welcome back to Any Recapped. Today we will cover the series Lost Memories. Make sure to subscribe to Any Recapped and hit the bell icon to never miss any update from us. Let's begin. The show starts with a woman reading a book regarding some purulin on a plane when she suddenly realizes a group of aircraft is following them. Since they aren't giving a reply, they understand their intentions and send one of the crew members, Nakayami, ahead of them to inform the others at the dock about the invasion. Akiyuki, a young guy, wakes up late to school but is instructed by his mother to take lunch to his father as he spends most of his time at his clinic. Even though he doesn't want to deliver it and wants to go to his school on time, he is compelled to visit his father because his mother has other things to do. Meanwhile, a girl beats up a guy at a martial arts club and enjoys her victory while the guy tries to make excuses. On his way, Akiyuki uses various shortcuts to reach there and finally reaches his father's office. As he enters the room, he finds it messed up despite his cleaning it just a few days ago and wakes up his father. His father doesn't seem to have much focus on his work, so Akiyuki informs him about a certain committee visiting him, and he doesn't care about it much. Outside, an older woman is waiting for an appointment, and he assures her that she will be treated soon before leaving for his school in a hurry. Meanwhile, his friends, Furuichi and Haru, are waiting for him at the bus stop, and the girl demands that the other fulfill his promise since he lost the match. As the time runs short, Akiyuki arrives and is barely on time. After he gets in line, he finds a white-haired girl ahead of him and notices that she doesn't have an armband that allows them to board the bus. He drops his intentionally so she can ride the bus, and when the conductor asks for his, he makes an excuse that he left him at home. After she gets on the bus and it gets going, he continuously glances at her and wonders where she is since he has never seen her before. His friends tease him for having fallen in love, and Akiyuki plays along with it. As they arrive at the school and everyone heads out of the bus, the girl causes an explosion and most of the students get injured, and some are traumatized by the sudden doom. A light type of substance is emitted and enters Akiyuki's body. While Furuichi checks up on Haru, Akiyuki heads toward the destroyed bus and finds the girl from before injured, with different colored blood oozing out of her body. She apologizes for driving him into the mess before tapping his forehead, installing something into it, and informing him about their lost memories, Xamd. The aircraft crew is passing through the town and realizes it has already been invaded, but they aren't planning on staying here since they need to hurry up and head to their dock. However, Nakayami wants to have a look at the spot, causing the captain to get mad at her. After Nazuna, the white-haired girl, passes away, he begins to transform into a weird creature, and his friend appears to find him but doesn't recognize him. The police arrive, inquiring about his identity, but he gives no response, and they are forced to shoot him. Haru watches this and seems to recognize her friend. Despite being shot multiple times by the police officer, Akiyuki can hold his ground and Haru hears his wish to stay alive. Meanwhile, the enemy aircraft drop large shells into the city, and no one has any idea what they are. As the police officer is about to shoot him again, Haru quickly punches him and disarms him since she knows her friend has transformed. On the other hand, the giant shells begin sending out huge monsters, which cause havoc in the city, eradicating everything in their path. The police bring tanks and other huge weapons, but they are no match for the monsters and are eventually destroyed. As one of the monsters is heading towards them, Akiyuki instructs Haru to get somewhere safe and engages the monster in combat. He tries to repel it with brute force, but since the other is huge, he has little to no advantage. As they get far from the main plaza, the enemy attacks him with a giant beam of light, but Akiyuki can hold his ground and repel it with his new powers. As they are fighting, Haru approaches them and is about to fall when her friend catches her. With her in his hands, he fights off the enemy and manages to cut one of its legs. Nakayami, who is observing the city, spots them and wonders what Xamd is doing here. She quickly approaches and easily finishes off the enemy and halts Akiyuki's movements. Haru convinces her that her friend is inside the monster. Nakayami announces that she will take him away with her. She knocks both of them out before heading to meet up with her crew while carrying Akiyuki on her back. In the meantime, Captain Isshu is angry at Nakayami for wandering off, and the kids ask if they could keep a pet on their plane. Even though she denies their request multiple times, they continue to annoy her. Suddenly, she spots Nakayami arriving with an unfamiliar figure on her shoulders. After she meets up with them, they continue on their journey. In Nakayami's room, Akiyuki rests while she tries to remove the substance from his hand. In the process, he loses control, but she can calm him down. Outside, her friend hears the disturbance and enters in panic, but is relieved to find that everything's okay. The pet from before bites his leg and the kids appear, taunting him for calling their pet a pig. Meanwhile, at his father's clinic, multiple people show up since they need help, and Akiyuki's father gladly attends to them. He goes outside to get some fresh air but finds his wife waiting there. He feels that she is here for their divorce, but when she informs him about his son's absence, he cannot remain calm. However, since the other patients need help, he has to attend to them, and his wife responds with how careless he is for having no worries about his son. Despite being immensely worried, he should attend to the needy ones, and he proceeds without giving her a reply. At the military headquarters, a young commander, Kekisu, is informed about their plan of utilizing Xamd in the recent disturbance. Since he belongs to the island where the attack happened, he is tasked with researching it, as they will consider him a beacon of light. However, his superior, Kanba, warns him that he will be the one to blame in case of failure. Haru enters the room where Nazuna is admitted, and she hears her talking about Xamd in her dreams. At the military meeting, the higher officers instruct Kekisu to fulfill his mission since he emerged from Seinen Island, where the disturbances are happening. Haru visits the office, where she spends some time with her sister. On her way back, she stumbles upon Akiyuki's father, who is sitting there, lamenting. He asks about her well-being and is grateful that at least she is okay, and informs her that nothing remains of his son. On the plane, Akushiba instructs Nakayami to see their captain, as it is her turn to take her breakfast. After she leaves, she shows Akiyuki around the ship and informs him that they are postal workers. He further instructs him to start working with them since he will have to spend some time with them and assures him that he will get better with time. However, Akiyuki wants to avoid working there and is bent on leaving the ship. He encounters the kid's pet and recalls seeing him in the city. Since he is feeling sorrowful for leaving his home and ending up on a ship of strangers, he decides to spend some time alone to get some fresh air. Once he has enjoyed the solitary breeze, Nakayami comes out of the captain's room, and Akubashi informs him that before meeting their captain, he will have to throw away his pride. As Captain Ishu comes out, he thanks him for taking care of him and requests that he leave. However, she punches him and scolds him for not thanking Nakayami properly since she helped him the most. Akiyuki is persistent and objects to thanking her, believing that he isn't a monster. Out of rage, he removes the bind from his hands and starts to convert into Xamd. Suddenly, a ship enters its zone, and as they are about to escape it, the ship unleashes a flying human form. Before they can do anything to stop it, the human form takes Akiyuki and escapes. Nakayami quickly readies her small plane and leaves off to rescue him. Using her instruments, she gets on the back of the human form and crystallizes the spot around Akiyuki's body to make the enemy numb. After rescuing him, Captain Ishu smithers the enemy into bits. Akiyuki thanks her for saving him 2 times, and she is grateful that at least he is being respectful. Before departing, she informs him about the training he will have to start doing soon. Meanwhile, Haru visits his house and consoles his mother by assuring her that Akiyuki is alive. His father feels the same too and begins looking into his research about human forms. At the military HQs, Kekishu is getting ready to deploy on his mission when his assistant hands him the list of the victims. Upon seeing Akiyuki's name on the missing list, he realizes that his father worked at the Barrador and suspects something is behind the whole situation. Akiyuki is about to sleep when Akubashi informs him about Reigyo Sonomata, an Xamd who lived with them, but he doesn't disclose further. Several more human forms appear on the island and begin devastating the buildings. Help from the military arrives, and as the Gundam-like machines start annihilating them, the human form has no way of defending itself and is easily vanquished. The officers instruct the police and the robots to arrest the human form users. As everyone is enjoying their time on the ship, Nakayami approaches Akiyuki and takes him to Madame to train him properly. She takes him to a room where he sits before an old lady who asks whether he prefers to live as an Xamd. Akiyuki is fully motivated to spend his life as he is, but still asks for assistance in recovering. However, she informs him that he has no way of recovering and will have to continue living this way. She urges him to seek out the meaning of his life as Xamd and figure out its purpose. Haru goes out with Furuichi and her little sister to ease her worries. Up above the cliff, while gazing at the dystopian sight, she finds one of her classmates depressed about losing her family. She tries to cheer her up, but no one can be cheered up at this time, so she leaves. Akiyuki continues spending the rest of his time doing work on the ship and thinking about figuring out his life's purpose. Akiyuki is working beside one of the seniors when a ship suddenly appears before them and emits gas to let them know. Captain Ishu commands Akubashi to meet them up, but Nakayami leaves before he even gets ready. Afterward, Ishu scolds her for meeting them and informs her of how the other group betrayed the anti-government movement. It is revealed that Ishu and the crew are part of the anti-government group that rebels against the northern government, which rules over Seinen Island. Despite Nakayami's insistence, Ishu goes to meet with the commander of the other ship. Nakayami brings Akiyuki to Madame Tenshin once more and informs her about his experience figuring out the answer. She encourages him to continue experiencing the flow of life and assures him that he will eventually arrive at an answer, but before that, he needs to continue living his life without disturbance. At night, a military woman approaches Akiyuki's father, Ryuzo, and notifies him about their plans to start anti-human form labs on the island. When he refuses her request to assist them, she reveals that their commander is Kakisu, the boy he saved 17 years ago. Upon hearing this, he is taken aback. Back at the ship, Akiyuki is bored but tries to spend his time pondering over Xamd's purpose. A group of suspicious people is collecting Hiruko, the substance that entered Akiyuki's body, and as someone finds them out, they immediately shoot him. The military arrives at Xamd Island to start their research, while Haru's classmate still wanders around in search of her loved ones, fully knowing that they are dead. On the ship, Akiyuki continues to work to realize the purpose of the Xamd and finds that multiple children on the ship are being worked on. He asks Akoshiba about them, and he informs them that they are from the enemy's land and therefore they shouldn't feel sentimental about them. In Kakisu's room, as they are awaiting a visit from Dr. Ryuzo, his superior, Kamba, knocks on his door and notifies him about something amazing he has come across. Things begin to fall at the ship when they all become aware that Nakayami might be planning on leaving them all soon, and everybody wonders what it would be like without her. Before leaving for the other ship, Mikayami informs Akiyuki about her leave and instructs him to continue his training with Madame Tenjin. As she enters the other ship, she finds a jelly-like creature that acts friendly toward her. The ship's captain, Xamd, arrives and the two shake hands. He requests her to come back to the village, but Nakayami has other plans. Kanba and Kakisu enter a research facility where the former shows Kakisu, the unconscious young girl he plans on using for his research. Kakisu is enraged at this, while the other feels that since they will be going down as war criminals anyway, they should continue doing anything that would allow them to stop the war. Nakayami returns to the ship, but Xamd informs Ishu that she will leave them sooner or later. On Xamd Island, Haru comes across her classmate, Shigara, whom the military experimented on, and she transforms into a human form. She doesn't care about Haru but chases Furuichi. After continuously evading her attacks, Furuichi hides somewhere safe and Kakisu arrives to exterminate the target. Since their homes have been ruined by the monsters, Furuichi and Haru decide to apply for the police force to play their part in exterminating the human form. Kakisu's assistant informs him about the two and notes that they are from the same class as Akiyuki. However, instead of taking an interest in her analysis, he tells her that her hair reminds him of his late mother, which he doesn't like. As they are traveling on the ship, notices a smog ahead and informs Ishu about it. Since she expects Nakayami to fly without their request, she instructs Akiyuki not to let her leave the room. However, before he can stop her, she has already left. As the blame will automatically be put on Akubashi, he pushes Akiyuki off the ship to follow her, and he catches onto her small aircraft. The two find a human form wreaking havoc, and Nakayami decides to stop it. She doesn't want to kill it, so she chooses to make it unconscious, but the human form proves too strong for her to handle, and Akiyuki intervenes. Since he cannot help her on his own, he decides to unbind Hiruko and transforms his hand, cutting off the human form's limb easily. Despite her warning about not killing it, Akiyuki goes into Vanquish, and she is disappointed in his training, reminding him of his promise to the Elder about peacefully coexisting with other beings, including human forms. Meanwhile, Haru and Furuichi are going home, and the former states how their life on the island has changed ever since the arrival of Commander Kakisu. After they say goodbye to each other, Haru reads the letter she received from Akiyuki. As she now understands that he is alive and well, he writes one in return for him and hopes he read it. At night, Akiyuki inquires Akubashi about human forms, and he informs him how they were once living beings experimented on by the government. Haru informs Akiyuki's parents about his safety, and they are glad their son is doing well. After she leaves, his father informs his mother about the Battle of Barador, where the government experimented on the injured people and turned them into human forms. The following day at the research facility, the human form they were experimenting on awakens and escapes the building. After making its way to the ground level, Haru and the other new soldiers decide to fend it off. Will Haru and her comrades successfully fend off the human form? What do you guys think? Find out in the next video. For now, leave us a like and subscribe to our channel.